Sspopiikimi. It is Tuesday, the afternoon of Tuesday, October 13th, 2015, and we're just going into the first winter moon, Iito'tsstoyi. The moon disappeared last night. Probably won't even see the first sliver of Iito'tsstoyi tonight, but we're in that limbo period. I'm here at Sspopiikimi. I'm going to start doing my winter rounds, phenological survey and learning. I've got a couple of projects in mind for this winter. Just noting that on the way in there was that single dandelion and the bee mimic fly on it. That bee mimic, I'm not aware of what species it is. There was also the typical drone fly bee mimic when I first arrived, but it flew away when I bent over to film. But the other one stuck around, so I'm going to look into what species that is. But the drone flies are still out, as well as this other bee mimic. Not too many flowers. I did a survey 2 days ago with one of my students, and we noted that almost all of the last of summer's asters, the hairy golden aster, the tufted white prairie aster, showy aster, gumweed, all of them had pretty much played out. There is like the odd flowers still remaining, but for the most part they're all played out. The leaves in the forest main have fallen. For the most part, there's still some trees, like out on the golf greens. You can see the trees are still carrying their leaves, but that's not going to last very long. And I think it might be because they have more water out there. They're nourished. They're more moist, less dry than these ones in the forest main. We've got almost 30 geese here in total out on the north end of the pond, along with at least a dozen mallards, which has been typical the last few weeks here. And it's about 16 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to take my walk around and do my first of the winter rounds. This is how most of the hairy golden aster is looking these days. Not only are the flowers played out, but the seeds are for the most part already spread. There's just some here that were not as out in the open, exposed to the wind, that still have the seed bundles, but most of them have already dispensed their seeds. Here I'm just following one of the beaver trails where recently, in about the last week and a half, the beavers have harvested choke cherries. This is the first time that I've noticed them harvesting choke cherries in their winter cache, but this was a pretty decent size. They had some good adult plants, and it was producing berries, and it looks like all of the taller stems have been clipped off by the beaver families, harvested for part of their winter cache. Yeah, I suspect this is the nest of the red-winged blackbird couple who were really guarding this area, this little patch of buckbrush earlier in the summer. So I was on the lookout for their nest back at the time, but it was just so leafy and such I couldn't find it. It was very well hidden, and now that the leaves are starting to fall on the buckbrush even, it sticks out like nothing. So I might later collect this nest. Today I'm going to go look at the catbird nest, the one catbird nest that I know we identified in the summer And I'm going to probably take that nest home and take it apart and start looking at what plants the catbird used. Might save this one here for some of my students. We'll see. Here is the catbird nest that I was after. You can see also that a mouse has perhaps used it to sit and eat some berries, probably a deer mouse, slightly arboreal mouse. Some leaves have fallen into it. It's got finer materials on the inside and rougher materials, including leaves and even some plastic on the outside. So I'm going to take this one home and kind of work on it and see what I can learn from it about the plants that the catbirds use. I also saw another one here that again I might have my students look at. This one looks more fresh from the season. This one may be different, may not be a cowbird's. I see there's a lot more kind of cottony material incorporated into this one, but yeah, we'll get to that. So I'm just gonna deal with the one at a time now. Here's another nest placed in the crook of a small cottonwood branch off from the main trunk of the tree. And this one is different. This nest is just a small bowl of grassy material. No mud cup, no leaves on the outside, so it's most likely a different bird than the catbird, and it's not a robin, and so it's something a little bit smaller. So yeah, I'll have to look into what this might be. I'm going to leave this one again today. All the others I'm leaving today. I'm just noting some as I walk around. Looking out over the very shallow, wide South Pool, I note that there are also a number of Sspopiikimi Canada geese out this way, along with some mallards and a black-crowned night heron. This night heron has been a frequent visitor throughout the past lunar cycle, Iito'tsstoyi, the deer moon. I've seen him on almost all of my visits here. And it's kind of a treat because in prior years, I might find a night heron here one day out of the year, maybe twice in a year, but never for weeks on end like this guy has been. Didn't see as many of the great blue herons here this year as we normally do. There was one that was visiting, but it seems to have left, and just the night heron remains. I'm not seeing yet today any sign of the yellow legs, the lesser yellow legs. I think I last saw them about a week and a half ago here. Yeah, about a week and a couple of days, week and a Sunday ago. Last saw the yellow legs here, and by that Monday they were gone. There were also hundreds of robins that day that were gone by that Monday. So yeah, some are moving out. Good to see that the night heron is still here though. This might be the last time I see him for the season. Also, I came across a yellow jacket here in the duck blind, and it reminded me that that bee mimic that I filmed at the beginning today actually was probably more of a yellowjack mimic a wasp mimic than a bee mimic, just because the coloration and body shape. Looks more like a yellow jacket than he does a bee. And here is the scene of the recently dug out wasp nests. This had been over the past week, about a week and a half ago. Again, they were dug out. One from here, and another just over here. I am presuming or speculating that it was a skunk that dug them out, because also a week and a half ago there was a large skunk killed on the road leading into the park entrance. So not that they have to go together, because it could have been a badger for sure, but I don't know. Skunks and badgers both dig out those nests, and it is a bit more skunk territory here in the forest than it is badger, but you never know. So yeah, I just thought I'd show those remains, and I'm going to check the owl wood really quick, see if any owls are back in there yet. Not really expecting to find them, but we'll see. I just saw a single raven fly by along the high-level bridge up above the tracks, and reminded me of the raven that I was taking care of at the beginning of summer. The one that I had found just on the other side of the river from right here where I'm standing, that had some kind of a lung issue, pneumonia perhaps, had it x-rayed, and we called it Bo because it was coughing. It was going Bo, Bo. So we ended up calling it Bo, but he didn't survive. So seeing a single raven just reminded me of him. Wonder if that was his old mate. He seemed to be a very old bird. There's a few nice bullberry bushes here, just loaded. It'll be good for the picking. Some years down here we get tons and tons of berries. These bushes are usually pretty good before the Bohemian waxwings get to them. Yeah, there was no sign of the owl in the owl wood, but I decided to come out here onto the peninsula, the wide South Pool, and get a couple of pictures of the night heron. While I was out here, I heard and saw a green-winged teal, but it's since taken off. Male green-winged teal. Saw another one of the wasp mimics. It was again on a late blooming dandelion, so it looks like that's what they're visiting right now, those ones. Still haven't seen any of the meadowhawks, the variegated meadowhawks that were still here up to a couple of weeks ago. Not much for other insects either. Red-winged clickhopper. That's about it. I'm sure there are others, but I'm I haven't noticed them. No smaller birds. I hear the raven again. He's in the distance. But I haven't come across any smaller passerines. I heard a magpie up on the coulee rim somewhere. It's odd not to come across any smaller passerines down here right now, but who knows, they can be off across the river doing something or up in the neighborhoods. There's very few painted turtles still out basking. Starting to wonder, after I hadn't seen them on the north end or below the south bench. Yeah, there are still a few out basking, which I would expect. I would also expect to still be able to find rattlesnakes basking today. Don't have to disturb them to assume that they are. So we still have one lesser yellow legs hanging out mid-pond now by the beaver lodge. He was out here kind of south next to this island of Sspopiikimi, mallard ducks. Good to see that there's at least one left here going into the first winter moon.